Hi guys, this is what looking after horses in -40 Celsius weather looks like. This isn't pretty or aesthetic, but just meeting their needs. Not just a snow day, it's not optional. This is just normal life here. When it gets this cold, I always get asked the same question. How do you and your horses survive this? And the honest answer is routine, preparation, and management. Like I said earlier, we like to meet the horse's needs. Now, some horses need blankets and others don't. Blanketing isn't about spoiling a horse or neglecting them. It's about meeting their needs. Each horse is blanketed based on their age, condition, workload, and the quality of their coat. Some horses are thinner or older, and so they require a little bit more blanketing versus others. It's always good to check their body condition when you pull off blankets. And as you can see, you see no bones or ribs. So that means that he's warm enough and getting enough food to stay warm and keep his weight and his muscle. Now, there's always going to be a blanketing debate, but I blanket my horses based on their needs. Some of my horses, like my Fjord mare here, don't need a blanket at all. And if I were to blanket her, she'd overheat. You can see that she's retaining her body heat because if she weren't, the snow on her back and ice would melt. Choosing if I'm going to blanket my horses depends on the weather, if there's wind or not, their age, their coat. At these temperatures, snow is not the enemy, but the wind definitely is. It can make temperatures feel 10 degrees lower than what they actually are. Having plenty of options for shelter for these guys is super important so that they can get out of the wind and warm up if need be. Even though they have free access to their shelters, they may not always use them. Freezing water is another challenge at these temperatures. We have to ensure that there is a heater in their water to make sure that they have water that's not frozen. You can't just allow horses to eat snow or lick or eat ice, as they won't get enough gallons of water in their system for their daily needs. We check this water trough frequently throughout the day to ensure that they always have access to plenty of water. And we keep track to see if anyone is not drinking. Another need that needs to be met is feeding them. So not only hay, but grain as well, to supply them with enough calories in their diet to keep them not only warm, but maintaining their weight and their muscle for when the temperatures rise again. I use hot water from the house to ensure that the horses have a hot meal at least twice a day. This also helps them get a little bit of extra water in. Horses need 24/7 access to forage, which is hay or grass. So we make sure that there's multiple spots for the horses to eat. At this temperatures, not eating for a few hours can be detrimental to the horse's health. This is one of our lesson horses, Chief. He's actually lowest in the herd, so that means he gets kicked off the hay quite often, unless we put out extra rounds to ensure that everyone has a spot at the round bale. So at these temperatures, we make sure that there's 3 round bales out for the 6 horses so that everyone has a spot at the hay. I find that at these cold temperatures, they do eat a lot more because they're trying to stay warm. So blanketing and shelter and feed matter, but also movement. Horses like to move in order to stay warm, so you'll often find a horse that's cold may run around or get a little bit more excited than others. I like to make sure that they have friends and food and shelter, and typically they can fare really well, much better than us in these cold temperatures. Another question I get often is, how do I know when to blanket or to give the horses a heavier weighted blanket versus no blanket at all? And honestly, that's where proper management and preparation and checking in takes a very big play in our day. That means that I'm not only checking on them once in the morning and the evening, but multiple times throughout the day. I like to make sure that they're not shivering if it's windy or if they're wet underneath their blanket. Obviously, they would need to be changed. I like to check underneath their blanket and their ears to ensure that they are staying warm. All in all, this is just reality. This is everyday life for us. Not every day is -40, but also not every day does it snow. Some days we get -20, some days we get -15 Celsius, some days we get -5. The weather has been really up and down this season. Proper management and preventative care is at the utmost priority each day, just to ensure that everyone's staying healthy.
No sweat.
With these extreme temperatures, we make sure that our machines are inside the heated garage, as well as our cats, just because we don't want them getting locked out and getting frostbite. So we do have stalls for them, as many have asked, but we don't use stalls unless there's a snowstorm or an ice storm or a windstorm that would pose some danger to our horses. They can't really move much in a stall, so if they're standing still for too long, this actually poses more of a danger to their digestive system, which really needs them to be moving. It is so cold. Breath is freezing, your nose is freezing, your eyelashes are freezing. It's so cold. I would really like spring now. It is just too cold for me. Sometimes I hide out in the barn or the heated garage to try to avoid the wind and the cold. But this never lasts for long because the horses need me and they come first. There are no shortcuts when it comes to animals that depend on you. This life isn't aesthetic, it's cold and exhausting, but it's also intentional. These horses are healthy, comfortable, and happy, not despite the cold, but because we respect it. So know when you see a horse like this with frost all over their face, know that it's easily be able to be brushed off and that they're well cared for. Although this weather may seem extreme, this is just winter for us. And tomorrow, we'll do it all over again.